often we keep it. So something.
Thank you.
Oh, baby. We're already.
Mr. Dice. That's blowing up cool air.
Yeah, that's 69.
Yeah.
We need to jack up.
Flip it over to heat.
There's all people in here.
Flip it over to heat, please. Thank you.
It's on me.
Now it changed, I feel it. I feel better.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ross.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you all very much. What's up?
It doesn't. Yeah. It does that.
It's top to top, man.
Good.
Borough Council meeting for November. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First, I'd like to open by thanking our veterans for their service and their sacrifices for the country. Next, we have the reappointment of council members. We have the reappointment of myself and Acting Mayor Borough Council. I don't know.
Sure. I'll provide some background here because I'm sure there might be some questions, and I'll do my best to not make it confusing because the borough code unfortunately is confusing sometimes. There are no new positions here. These are the existing terms for the two council members present. Whenever I was advising the borough about the correct procedures for reappointment of a council member given Mr. Hannon's resignation, which we will be going over later, I got briefed on some background information on how Matt and Rob were appointed previously to fulfill the remainder of their current terms from previous members of the council who have resigned. Essentially, what should have happened was that they were appointed to borough council, which is correct, but because of the time at which their vacancy occurred, the position should have appeared on the following municipal election ballot, which would have been in 2022, I believe, or 2024. Anyway, that did not happen for some reason, meaning that by operations of law, those vacancies were reestablished the January following municipal election, and they should have been reappointed at that time. So this is a procedural cleanup because you all went and reorganized at that January meeting with the understanding they would fill the remainder of their terms, which run follow the ballot, given, I guess, the confusion of multiple vacancies and the 4-year cycle that were lasting otherwise because none of the council members were on that ballot. So these resolutions are to make clear that the intent of the borough council to have them serve the remainder of their terms, as was done in the first round of resolutions, but now cleaning up that it will fall to the end of the next municipal election. Hopefully that provides some clarity, but I doubt it.
I got questions. So they should have been up for election on the ballot 2023 municipal.
No, 2024.
There was no municipal in 24, that was just the other week.
So it wouldn't have been,
2023, yeah. You're,
Okay.
yeah, that would have been last November. Correct?
So the status of those seats from the first Monday in January 24 to now is vacant.
well, that's arguable because you all reorganized at the January meeting, and nobody was subsequently reappointed. So this is a weird area that we're currently sitting that I think it will be best to formalize what you all are doing in practice.
I get where you're coming from, but they were to be on the ballot. They were not on the ballot.
Correct.
Because of that, the seats were not elected and therefore are vacant.
This would have been for the remainder of the term that was previously appointed for. There's no new seat created. These terms run in 4-year cycles. So
I think we're confusing here. When were you guys appointed? 2022?
summer of 22, yeah.
Okay, so you don't get to fill out 4 years though. That's not what Borough Code says. You get to fill to the next municipal election as long as it's 60 days prior to the election. You're appointed.
Yes.
So that didn't happen, and we're just pretending that they stayed in their office, and it's no harm, no foul.
No, we're not pretending like anything didn't happen. What happened was, for some reason, those remainder of the term positions were not present on the next municipal election ballot, meaning that the vacancy occurred by operation of law on the January following, and nobody did anything about it. So now a subsequent vacancy existed, and you all reorganized at that January meeting with these council members to fill out the remainder of the term that they were originally intended to fill out.
So you're saying the council reorganizing trumps an election?
Nothing is trumped. The Borough Code, and very seldom case law interpreting this very strange scenario, says that Borough Council has the exclusive authority to appoint their council members. This arose on a previous occasion. Apologies for paraphrasing here. Whenever 2 interested members had a claim to a seat that had lapsed under somewhat similar circumstances, and the person who did not get the seat attempted to petition to have a new interim election established for the seat, and the court said no, the Borough Council is vested with exclusive jurisdiction of the Borough Code. But yes, there are 2 segmented vacancies, if I understand what you're hitting at, and this is to more formalize what was done in January, or it should have happened.
Okay, but council only has 30 days to appoint a vacancy.
Yes, again, there was the reorganization of the board that happened as well. So it's somewhat uncertain, and I think it would be best in practice to have this done here, rather to remove whatever level of uncertainty that you can at this point, because you also need a quorum to conduct business, everything that follows.
You have a quorum of seated members. You have 4 elected members, and if these 2 don't count, it gives you a council of 5, so 4 is fine.
Should council elect to not reappoint them, that would also be a official.
Yeah, I'd be much more comfortable if we got some sort of guidance from the Department of State. I'm going to call them tomorrow about this, and the Attorney General's office, because this kind of seems like some sort of an election issue. I don't know if it's criminal or not, but you denied the citizens the right to vote by, I don't know, ignorance or whatever purpose, I have no idea. But then you got 2 members that acted like they were on council legitimately, even though it seems like by law they're not.
So if you read the I think there was a miscommunication that occurred for some reason, because you read the resolutions, they appoint them to the remainder of the term. The remainder of their term still exists. So for whatever explanation that was given previously, I don't think this operation of the borough code was properly explained. So now we have people acting pursuant to these appointment resolutions under no fault of their own, because I'm assuming in good faith that for some reason this was not properly communicated to whoever needed to be communicated to appear on the ballot.
Yeah, and that may be, but a resolution doesn't trump the state's Title 8.
Borough code vests exclusive authority in borough council to fill vacancies, period.
No, there are restrictions to that. You can only appoint a vacancy until the next municipal election.
Correct, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying right now, by operation of law strictly interpreted, there's an argument that a vacancy exists. So if a vacancy exists, the borough council should take official action to fill that vacancy.
Right, and that's where we disagree on the calendar. I say that started the first Monday in January.
Maybe. It's very unanswered where we're at currently. I've never experienced this. I'm not a grizzled veteran. of
Welcome to
40 years.
Goldsboro.
I haven't experienced this, but it will be my recommendation to paper what you've been doing in practice, especially because we have the pretext of, or the background of the establishing resolution for the remainder of term in the first place. So I think that there was some kind of gap in miscommunication on how this should have happened. Not interpreting any ill will, but since we're currently here, I think it would be in the best interest of the borough to at least have the opportunity for the official action, and that's their action being documented rather than just some vacancy languishing at this point.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I disagree with your position, but I understand where you're coming from. So I'm going to call Department of State and Attorney General tomorrow and see what we can get out of them.
Yeah, I mean, I would be interested in what they have to hear as well, or what they have to say as well, because I'm not sure why this wasn't reported in the first place of being on the ballot.
That's what I was gonna ask, who dropped the ball on this? I mean, who was in charge of knowing that, or?
It's always been that way. They've always done it that way.
So there might have been a mix-up for timing, because whenever you're within a certain amount of timing from a municipal election, you actually carry through the following January. But this was outside of that window, so it should have been on the following municipal election.
Your first term was out when you got put in Brian Tompkins.
I wasn't appointed though, I was elected.
It's
No,
either,
you were appointed for your first.
No, I
No,
wasn't
he was
elected.
elected.
it's either,
Well, that's the
I
second
was
one.
elected both times.
He was elected both times.
Okay. I thought you were appointed for.
Wouldn't we say that technically the previous solicitor should have identified this?
I would agree, yes, this should have been pointed out.
Yeah.
It's either 60 or 90-day period. I apologize, I don't have the statute up, but whenever you're within that amount of days leading up to a municipal election, you would actually carry through the January and fill out the remainder of the term. There are no new terms being created to make that abundantly clear.
So how do we move forward here, and I don't wanna get myself in trouble with anything.
You're not creating liability for yourself here because you were not. I'm speaking from limited background information here, but I highly doubt that you all were obstructing some kind of person being put on the ballot in the first place. It sounds like there was a miscommunication and guidance given to the borough on what the appointment of a vacancy would have done. So in this particular set of circumstances with Mr. Hammond resigning, his position will now appear on the following municipal election ballot because we're more than whatever that amount of time before the election, if that makes sense. So this one, whoever gets appointed into the remainder of that term will be bifurcated into the two vacancies, if you want to view it or call it like that, or term A will be appointed by you all, and term B will be on the municipal election ballot.
Yeah, cause this is all new to me.
Can we get some better clarification from the county courts or the state regarding the requirements for the reappointment? Plus, if I'm correct, under a reappointment, both council members have to take oaths again. I've done that.
I can see why you would think that. it's really more ministerial. They could be sworn in again.
They could be, but could be, should be, would've. I'm looking for clarification from the mayor's office on taking oaths after reappointment. And if they haven't been officially reappointed and haven't taken their oaths, where do the courts and the state stand with that?
Again, I think there's a very limited case law for where you all are currently sitting. I had not come across this particular scenario, even researching the background on this. What I could find was that one scenario where I paraphrased earlier, where there was an attempt to have a petition for some kind of special election that was denied. So, in practice, I would recommend at least holding the vote on it. You all could, I guess.
Do a motion.
Well, let me ask this now, so being if they're getting appointed now, what about the rest of the year, everything that was voted on and stuff like that? So now.
They were put in under, they were put in under reorganization.
No, I don't think that it would be, you would find a court that would attempt to unwind action under the apparent authority that you all were sitting under. I think that would be, again, another step removed on whether or not there would be any legal precedent for that. I would attempt to fill the seats currently first, and then move towards that, because these are all background facts that nobody's disputing or trying to mischaracterize. There was some kind of setup with the election or lack of communication that resulted in this particular set of circumstances. So, given where you currently sit and you're interested in taking action for the borough and your understanding of the members who were appointed to fill the remainder of the terms in the first place, I would recommend the opportunity to at least vote and have that be continued in practice until otherwise you decide to act differently, because there's no background facts that are changing here. So if you're disputing, or if you find some interest in the Department of State or the Attorney General that strongly feels otherwise, to speak against the remainder of what would now be the remaining 12 months of the vacancy that currently exists, that would be still able to be revisited at any given point. You'd just be better equipped to handle business day to day as you currently were up until this point.
Did the county elections office contact somebody in the office about this?
No, what happened was I emailed Brian's resignation, and he was telling me the process, and I said, oh, well, that's not what happened with myself and Rob. So that's how we discovered the issue.
So the county elections office wasn't even aware that they were submitted for the elections? And are they notified for appointment or reappointment? Do we know?
I don't know.
Was Brian Hammond appointed, is that what you're saying?
No, he won the election. Brian,
I was just going to say, I think the mayor's speaking to a lack of communication, not whatever's happening.
Yeah. That's the biggest issue right now. Like, the county office should have notified the borough office, okay, you have 2 unappointed seats that were not submitted for elections.
Right.
And why that wasn't identified is beyond me, but.
Yeah.
So.
The way that the drafted resolutions currently sit are to reappoint the existing members to the remainder of the terms for those vacancies that may have been created by operation of law. So that's, approval will be essentially status quo. Denying would be you have 2 less members to conduct business, or I guess you could abstain on action if you feel strongly about it, to proceed under the apparent authority that you continue to operate under following January. There's, again, background facts are background facts.
So, I mean, that was a good point. What happens if somebody in authority comes and says, oh yeah, they were never on council for this last year? I mean, that kind of falls into that, like what you're saying, is kind of an ignorance of the law is okay.
I wouldn't phrase it like that.
I know, I'm sure you wouldn't. I got you. But everybody at this table here swore an oath to exercise their office with fidelity, which means they should be aware of the laws. I can't say, oh, I didn't know what the speed limit was. right? That's never an excuse, and I get, yes, somebody didn't do something they should have, right? But it should be incumbent upon every council member to understand the duties of the office that they freely took. So, to me, that's not a good excuse.
I think that's unfair to heap that burden of procedural operation of the borough code off of people who are volunteering to be here with their time. I think that your previous solicitor should have given you this guidance on when that happened.
I agree, you should have, but borough code is on the internet. We can all.
Correct, but that's why the position of solicitor exists, so that everybody can have legal explanations given to them by somebody who's in a more advantageous position to know about them.
And that sounds great, except now we have 2 spots that I at least have no idea what the status has been for the last 11 months.
I would say that it's an unanswered legal question, and there was a reorganization. Oaths were taken at the time of their earlier reappointment. Now you have an operation of law, given the timings and miscommunication, that creates a legal question. So,
Yes, exactly.
I think that you have one of those 3 options in front of you. I would recommend you proceeding with what you feel comfortable with at this point, because really it doesn't change where you're currently sitting at.
Well, what about, we have a forum here regardless, I mean, can we table it till we get clarification till next month? I mean, for you to get
We've
clarification.
gone 11 months already, what's one more month?
Yeah, what clarification are you seeking? Because
Well, you were saying you weren't sure about this, it was the first time, or the first you've seen of it, or something like that, you were saying a minute ago.
correct. I could not find any legal precedent to your current scenario, which is what I was trying to say. There was a minimal amount of case law on the background facts, and save for the one where there were 2 people who were vying for one claim. But here you don't have those circumstances, because you had the singular members who were appointed to the office that were under the operation filling out the remainder of those vacancies, or at least understood that to be the case.
And then because of Johnson and Duffy, we didn't know.
Yeah, I don't know who the opposing person who would have a valid claim for the seat would be, because none exists.
I am going to abstain from any decision, obviously, or any further input until I verify outside source with a solicitor and a mayor's association and itself on delivering the oath. Doesn't mean that I'm not willing to give the oath, but I want better clarification and a breakdown before I give the oath. I'm not saying I'm not willing to give the oath if that has to be done. I'm just going to remove myself from that at this point.
So we'll table it till the next meeting. We still have a quorum.
Well,
so
yeah, everybody has to ask that.
Well, I'm just throwing out a suggestion, that's what I'm saying.
I would like to put a motion on the table to reappoint Matt to Borough Council into the president's position.
All those in favor, say aye.
Well, we gotta
need a second first.
Should he be sitting in his chair right now, given we have no idea what his status is?
If there's no action taken, I would proceed under a legal basis with the way that you had proceeded to this date. I would not legally exclude or forcibly exclude the 2 members of council at this point, considering the reorganization effort and the unanswered strange posture we sit at.
If they go for themselves.
Wow, okay. I'm kind of floored by, hey, there was a reorg, therefore that trumps the election process.
That's not what I'm saying at all. It's not what I'm saying at all. I have,
Because
in my ideal set of circumstances, we would be taking over where this would not be an unanswered question.
I agree.
But since we're currently sitting here in the interest of the borough, I don't think that you should be forcibly excluding members of council who were appointed, at least in part, to fill a vacancy that were not properly communicated, where should have been those remainder of those positions should have appeared on the following ballot, but were not. So whenever you're operating from the perspective of the borough as the entity, what is in their best interests, and what is the will of the borough, who has the exclusive authority to appoint members or appoint vacancies to fill the remainder of terms for members in the first place, I don't think you should be excluding people. This is an opportunity to formalize what has been done in practice to date for whatever disadvantageous circumstances you find yourself in procedurally from lack of guidance or communication at this point. It doesn't change anything from the current posture if you were to not do anything. I think that you would be hard pressed to find, number one, on the very few amount of cases that exist to speak to at least somewhat analogous circumstances, a court has definitively spoken and said that they will not order a special election. That's what they've said so far today.
Right, but we're not faced with that situation.
Well, what is the alternative then? You have a vacancy that exists.
Correct, but it's been more than 30 days, so the court of common pleas would be the proper venue.
They discovered, okay, there's also an argument about discovery of these things. I understand we're in procedural territory. Again, unanswered. This discovery was made because of the resignation of the other council member, giving the opportunity for the first time for this to be in front of them at a public meeting. So you could argue that potentially this vacancy was discovered now, or you could argue, as you're posturing, that it occurred in January. I understand both of those points. If a court were to later decide that yours is correct, then this still allows the borough to continue as they've been continuing under the operation of the previous resolutions and their organization. It's not saying that it weighs more than an election, because obviously that's the design procedural process to be followed. But whenever you find yourself here, I think that this is a legally defensible position to take upon discovery and then following action.
But doing so also prevents anybody else that would have been eligible to actually run for that office.
Yeah, it can't happen because the court has said that they will not hold a special election.
No. At the time of the original elections, followed by the failure under the reorganization to a point.
We can't go back in time.
No, but I'm just saying that was not giving the residents a proper opportunity.
Yes, I'm saying they should have been on the ballot. I agree with you, but they were not. So now you find yourself here. There will be no election before the next municipal election. So now it's about proceeding until that point, about a year from now.
So, to be clear, if there's a second to the motion, then two of the interested parties get to vote for themselves and each other in this matter.
I think you would have an opportunity for abstentions, and the general.
I intend on abstaining from the vote.
The general predicate for abstentions is a case-by-case basis on each member to declare whether or not they're interested.
I understand. I just want to bring that point up because it seems a little fishy, dirty, or something.
There's, again, uncharted waters here. I think that you have the three options. You have a motion on the table. You can either vote and move forward, or you can choose to.
I have a comment on that. I spent 28 years on Borough Council, and more than once we filled positions this way, the same way as it's done now. I've never heard anything from any attorneys or anything else to that fact.
So because it's always
The
been
fact
done
that you
legally.
insinuate that we should know all the rules that you do, you should be sitting over there instead of back here criticizing everything that's done. I mean, this is a job that gives you like $80 a month before taxes. I mean, it's not a position you make any money at. It's a position you are attacked constantly by.
So you're saying in 28 years you never read the borough code? Then you should
I
have
don't know,
borough
it's
code.
right
You should
there.
have never been on
I mean,
council.
did you ever read the gas code?
I
Did
didn't
you
take
stuff for
a,
your house, or you ever read the plumbing code to do anything for your
I didn't
house?
take an oath.
I never claimed to be, that. You know, you claim to be somebody that's smarter than us, and you.
Why are we
sit
allowing
there
people
and
to
talk.
attack each other?
Alright, we have a motion on the table, we need a second.
Say it, pal.
The only people that can are these two.
Well, Matt can't vote.
Three, I'm sorry.
What would happen if we table this for now?
I think you would proceed in exactly
we
the same
proceed
posture that you
as
are proceeding.
we have been, will Rob and Matt still be considered councilmen?
I think that
Yeah.
if you don't take an action on this, then you should proceed with how you have been proceeding. Because it's the same apparent authority that you've been operating under since January.
Alright, so no second,
For you, how you cut off.
I don't wanna second it until I know exactly what in the world is going on.
I try to apologize in advance for how unnecessarily complicated this is
Right.
going to be.
I mean, I'm no lawyer.
No, and I don't expect you to know all of this. I think that's unfair to expect you to know all of this.
I'm too old to go through.
Well, guess what? This is the first one in history for Goldsboro Borough.
alright, so we have a motion on the table to appoint Rob, reappointment of Rob Dice to council to serve the remainder of his term 2026, for January 2026.
I'll make that motion.
Alright, is there a second? Alright, hearing none. Reading of the minutes, are there any corrections and additions?
Yes. So before we can start, we're just gonna continue the way we have them, right?
There's no difference from your perspective for your.
Because I want to see Matt and Rob. Right, I don't want to see Rob and Matt go, you know? Okay.
So you had some updates for last month's meeting?
Yes, on in the utility report, it says, $800, it has to amount of 800. That's not correct, it's 500.
What's this?
You see where I'm saying it? Utility for the LHP and water.
Next page.
It's on the next page,
On the minute.
On the budget.
The minute,
the minutes.
last month's minute.
Oh,
It's like the second and third page. Third page. Third page.
Under received.
What was it?
That's utility reports. It says decision was then letters go out for past due amount. The bills are reviewed and a letter sent at 800. It's not 800, it's 500. You see it's third page back.
yes.
Will, you got it?
Yeah, 800.
Yep, should be 500. Then go back one more page. And you'll come to committee reports. Building the grounds, it says we replaced 3 20-foot pieces of storm pipe. We did, it was only 2 pieces. That's it. That's all I have.
The next page, committee reports, building and grounds. Reported 3 20-foot, it was only 2 pieces.
Okay, I need a motion to accept the amended, minutes.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Alright, citizens remarks, please come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record, please limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Kevin Kramer, 605 Hill Point Drive. Quick question about soliciting in the township. You need a permit, correct?
The borough, no soliciting.
In the borough.
No soliciting.
No soliciting.
No soliciting.
Only Newberry, you need a permit.
So the ice cream truck can roam free anytime. They don't need. They don't need a permit.
If someone wants to turn him in, I'm sure they could get.
That truck's nasty anyway.
It's disgusting. He came out on Halloween, which is ridiculous. There's kids all over the street and you're gonna come out on Halloween. He also sits in front of houses with kids who have a learning disadvantage and takes advantage of that. So that's all I have to say.
Well, we do need to strengthen up on that a little bit. There's quite a few of them in this.
What ordinance or section is that says about those sorts of things?
I didn't know exactly.
I don't think so.
I think it's people that come and sell windows and doors and solar panels.
That's under, licenses and sale and solicitation. It's, permits, general, business. I believe that's what that falls under.
I think it's better.
I think you're right on that, 'cause I don't think there's any kind of mobile permit.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because then that would affect
The global
the food things, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't think that applies.
Transient retail business.
That'd be, yeah,
Would be it.
could fall under that too.
Yeah. I have to dig up there and make solicitation.
He is nasty, I agree with
He,
that.
he gets the money and he runs up the research and buys scraps off and just sits there to scrap.
Or at Antonio with his music on.
They have to apply for, there's an actual application process through the, ordinances. States here, license application.
What actions can we take to not let him come in?
If there are permitting requirements that are not in place, we'd follow up with the notice of violation.
Yeah, that would,
There we go.
yeah. So that's it.
And we can get Tina set up with the information so she can continue to have the food trucks here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there's enforcement on here too.
It shows up to the day when the enforcement, let me know.
And they can be denied, suspended, or revoked for sale, selling of umbrella units, if they don't go through the office. And that's through the borough secretary and treasurer is hereby authorized to deny, suspend. Well, in this case, Joel.
Does it say how much
the permit is? That's the only thing I don't have in here. No. So it's whatever
That might be in the fee resolution though, like.
Yeah, it's not.
There's no license
it's
fee
not
in
on
there?
that.
There should be a license fee or a permit fee listed in there.
Again, we're coming out of stone ages, a step at a time. There's a lot of stuff we're missing.
13-201.
What was it, 13 one?
13-301, that'll be part 3.
Okay, moving on for citizens remarks.
Right, Dan Holt, 448 Clover. It's my understanding that we are charged a $9 a month electric meter fee. Is that true?
That's true.
All right.
That's administrative meter fee.
Okay. So in ordinance 2017-1, it says that rates and charges for electric service will be established and fixed from time to time by resolution. So what's the resolution that authorizes that fee?
I don't know that.
Is the ordinance refer to the energy or the electric rate? And is the meter outside of that rate?
Well, the meter fees, you don't even see it on the bill. That's incorporated in the bill. Given the amount. So I don't have the answer to tell you what covers that. Because we don't have that on our meter, on our fee schedule.
Right, and that's my concern is the $9 fee without a resolution authorizing it, and that should be outlined in your admin code, whatever, 1-824, that you have to have a resolution. So if not, and we're all being charged $9 a month for that, it doesn't seem like it would be a legal charge. And under 1-822, we should all be getting a credit to our bill. It does say, as a result of investigation made at a customer's request. So this is my request. You all want to make a request? They're all making requests. If we are being charged without proper authorization, I want the credit to my account for $9 a month for however long this has been going on.
And you said that's in the ordinance too?
The ordinance 2017-1 is the,
Remember,
amends the code of
you guys
ordinances establishing rules and regulations
You guys have
for
a
electric power and the
not-
purpose
not
of
us.
seat and power. for
you're gonna break yourself.
I would recommend if you're making a formal request, to do it in writing.
Yes, not voice.
Well, it just says made at customer request. No, I get it, but this is being recorded, it's in the
Again, it's
minutes.
just easier for proper administration.
Alright, so, well, the point there is that don't charge illegal fees if that's what's.
Wasn't there a question raised at some point in time here recently why that fee is not posted on the actual electric bill?
Yeah, I think the mayor asked that at the budget meeting.
Well, that's the same as the water.
It's on the water bill.
The water, you get a lump sum, but you don't get what is actually
The meter fee?
the first initial fee, and
That's
then the price
13
per
months.
gallon. It's just all lump sum.
Pardon?
That's 13 a month,
Okay.
20, yeah, 13.
I was just, if I recall I think it was the last meeting, why that is not on the bill, the $9 meter reading fee. Daniel, did you?
I think it's not meter reading fee, it's meter fee.
I think they say that just the format of the postcard wouldn't allow it. I mean, I agree with you, it would be better to know exactly what we're all paying for, but it's not really my call.
It took me a while when I figured out my electric bill, because I watch it every month.
We all.
Oh, I do. And I was like, $9, and then finally it sunk in my head, there's a $9.
Right, yeah, once you learn that, it's like, oh, okay.
Meter fee.
We're not being
Oh,
charged
okay,
crazy
there's
rate.
the $9. And I thought I was getting, well, I don't know.
Thank you.
All right, any other citizen matters? All right, hearing none, Chief Lutz, please report.
Good morning, Mr. Love.
Good evening, council, good evening, citizens. For the month of October, in the borough, we had 45 incidents. We had no Part 1 offenses. We did have one Part 2 offense, that was a DUI. We had issued 2 citations, 4 warnings, and we had 38 incidents. Those 38 incidents were abandoned vehicle, assault, child line report, detailed special event, EMS call, hazardous conditions, information received, service call, miscellaneous, suspicious activities, suspicious vehicle, theft of vehicle, traffic complaint, traffic hazard, trespass letter received, welfare check, and wanted persons information. Also in October, you should have saw an officer that was detailed to trick or treat for 2 hours, driving throughout the borough, getting out and walking. Please tell me that that did occur.
It did.
Yeah,
Okay.
They were handing out.
I saw somebody in police car, I figured it was a costume.
Officer.
Should have been one of our newer guys, Officer Myers.
I believe there were 2 officers, wasn't
At one point, we did send another one down because Shelley's seemed to be super packed, and believe it or not, there was several neighborhoods within the township that was like a ghost town. I went through several myself, and I started out in South Crest, and it was pretty full. Then I went to North Crest and saw like 3 kids, and then the backside, I was like, "Where's everybody at?" So we were jumping all over the place. I just wanted to make sure that they didn't leave here. If they had instructions, it doesn't matter how dead they were, that they needed to stay and go for. Other than that, that's all I have for my report. There was an email that went out.
Yeah, I got a question to everybody here, because I wasn't here, I was on vacation. What the heck do you guys want out of the police department? Sure, I was not told anything about this. I had one of the Newburgh Township supervisors call me when I was on vacation Friday or Saturday, stating that you guys wanted your contracts or 4-year contracts or something like that. So what happened?
No, we didn't put we talked about a multi-year contract.
Right.
And at the budget meeting, and the goal is to reach out to Chief here to see if there was any interest on New Britain Township's part in doing so.
Okay.
That's where it was left at. I talked to him and, he said, how many years? And I said, between, I think I said 4, right?
You don't do budget, do you?
What's that?
You don't do the budget.
I do the police department
Right,
budget.
you do, oh, you do.
But I don't, I'm not the ultimate say, it's gotta go in front of.
A board just like
Yeah,
here.
yeah. So, my question was, I'm here, is there, for me to take it back, is it advantageous for the proposal for a 2, 3, 4 years, anything that you want different in the current than it's in the current contract? I know there's been discussion about time. Our current contract does not, we don't sell time. We're not a regional police department. We don't sell PPUs. That's how regional police departments do it. They sell PPUs. We don't sell that. We sell that you call 911, we will be there. That way we don't have to spend more administrative time keeping track of every time. We don't track the patrol time in Goldsboro Borough because we drive through the borough so many times to get to different parts of the township. And quite honestly, being a police officer, they have so much paperwork as it is now. For them to document 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there, it's not worth it. However, if that's what you want in your contract, we will change our method and do that. However, calculating for every minute of time could cause things to be different. You know what I mean? Because now you're talking calculating court time, time for right to know, administrative time for the secretaries to read reports, time for administrative to review body cameras, which we do weekly, just on and on. Time for processing evidence from a
If we were a
case
high
from
crime
Goldsboro.
area, I could understand this. We're not a high crime area.
I just wanted some guidance since I'm here. If that's what you're looking to do and you want to
I don't know what that.
go towards the time route, that way I can tailor it or give direction towards whoever's going to tailor it so you're getting what you want. Does that make sense?
I know, I mean, people have brought it up, I mean, you guys aren't really here a lot. I mean, like you said, you guys do come through here quite often, going toward York Cave and stuff like that, but it seems like the presence is really low here. Now, tonight, there's one sitting down on my end of town, and he's called like 3 or 4 people before I came here.
Right.
And so we were discussing contracts, possibly, looking to see, find a cheaper rate, for a little more service. Yeah, we don't have a high crime rate down here. We do have a speeding problem, like you said before. Yeah, you're never gonna solve that problem, but more of a presence does kind of slow it down. I mean, he called 4 within, I think, an hour.
Think about it this way. If you don't have a high crime rate now in 2024, what was it in 2018? What was it in 2016? Right? And the reason why it's decreased is because of our presence. You might not necessarily see us all the time, but we're driving through the neighborhoods. On night shift, our guys are probably in here 8 to 9 times a night, driving throughout the thing. The other thing is, if you remember correctly, back in 2018, we were spending a lot of time in the borough area here. And then we definitively got a letter or gram, whatever, like, hey, we don't like you sitting there because you're just scaring away our customers at a certain facility within the borough. So when we park away from it because we're being accused of chalking tires, scaring away patrons, stuff like that. So when our guys park, they try to park away from that location.
Right.
So they try to not drive in front of that location when they're patrolling. Because I don't want any impropriety or people coming back saying that we're trying to target people from a certain establishment.
Well,
That's directly for me because I don't want that to occur.
Yeah, don't get me wrong there. I mean, I know that could be a dangerous situation with a lot of people leaving that place. I mean, I see it all the time.
What
So-
place
so-
are you talking about?
Next door.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you might not see them in the borough, but if they're driving around in Shelley's Riverview, that's the borough, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's where a lot of the comments come from. Nobody sees them up there. That's only, I'm only.
What I'm saying is, if you say time, if you're selling time, that time could be spent in Shelley Riverview and not down here in the borough, and it's still paying the same amount. Follow
Right.
There was one sitting down here today. Bill and I were going to get the Christmas tree and put the flag and everything. I seen it and had to point out to Bill, but Bill did not see it. That's how, I mean, he was sitting right on top of it. You couldn't tell it was a police car. You had no idea.
My simple thing is, how do you want it tailored? Do you want it tailored the same way it's been tailored, or do you want it tailored in increments of time?
Are you willing to go to like a 2 or 3 year contract? I mean,
It's not whether I'm willing to, sir, it's whether my bosses are, to be honest with you. I don't think that there would be an issue with it, but it's their decision, it's not mine.
Right, what's just with the cost of everything going up? I mean, our taxes are basically going up, electric's going up, trash is going up.
I don't like the fact that they didn't give you a definitive answer, and we're in November, where in years past it was September, October. I understand that, I understand your position. I'm stuck in a horrible position where I can't give it to you, right? Because I don't make that decision. I gave Charlie a roundabout estimate because I looked at what their budget is. But I can't give you any hard facts because until they tell me and their budget is passed, I can't give it to you.
When did you do your budget?
When did I do my budget? My budget was submitted, I think, September 5th. Yeah. Yeah. So, while I'm here, the question is it 2, 3 year? Do you want it worded similar to the way it is now? You want it worded similar in time? Do you want it both ways?
I think the majority of it is looking at a 2 year locked in on the cost of what it would be as it is now.
So 2 year contract.
Set.
So you know what is from 1 year to the next.
Correct.
For 2 years.
You guys do it now like our garbage does. It's a contract for 3 years, but it goes up an amount every year.
And quite honestly, I believe that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
Because having to do it every year for the police department budget as well as the borough's budget, it's a little nerve wracking, as you would say, right? If you had some solid figures in there, you know what it is, right? So I don't have any issue going back and telling them that. Is it the board's wishes for a 2 or 3 or something longer?
You guys are the board.
We'd have to make that decision today.
Give them an idea what you want.
Discuss it.
Are you guys in official action?
They are on negotiation.
That's why we don't have a number.
Well, he has a temporary number. He has a tentative number, and from everything that I've heard in the budget negotiation, that tentative number has not changed. And it won't change because if they're in negotiations or they go to arbitration, like, you can't hold off on that. Like, you can't keep business.
I didn't know if that's what was holding them finalizing that number.
No, it's the way that they change during their budgets. So until they vote on the budget being done, then that, you know what I mean, then that's the number. That's my understanding.
Yeah.
There's a temporary number in there. That number has not changed since September. They just had a budget meeting last week. It didn't change. So I would say you could count on that number. Well,
Would it be $82,000?
No, he doesn't know what ours is. He doesn't know what ours is. He's only talking about what theirs is.
Okay.
Wasn't it one that showed we were going from like 78 to 82 or something?
Yeah. Might have been close to that. 4%.
Yeah.
that was the temporary number that I gave you. Yes, you're currently at 80.
You can take that $87,000 and hire an officer. Might get 3 months out of it. Might get 3 months out of it. You buy the car, the equipment.
How much you putting out?
Could be another hack.
Say I mean, I know 80,000 is a lot of money, but it's nothing compared to having a police. That's where you used to have it to.
Well, we have 82,000.
Well, I did a little. What I would recommend is if you're doing that, I do a little bit of research as to what other places are paying. Does anyone know where Goldsboro is? Goldsboro.
Yeah.
How big is that compared to Goldsboro?
They're a little bit bigger, not much.
Yeah. Lewisberry's just a little smaller than us.
Don't look.
Goldsboro was paying $105,500
Yo is.
for this year.
Yeah, they are a little
Yes.
bigger than us. Yeah, that's my responsible grounds. I'm familiar with all that.
That's the only way you know, that's how I check.
Right.
Call on the administrative offices and ask them.
That's all I have. I will tell them to work on a 2 or 3 year offer, and hopefully I can get that back to you by your next month meeting.
Thanks, Chief.
Yep. If you have any questions for me, does anyone have any questions for me?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
If I don't see anyone, have a great Thanksgiving.
Where's your beer at?
Where's
No shade November?
Yeah, you know what? Last year, I participated in every year except for this year. And last year, despite raising money, it's for a good cause. Man, by the end of the term, someone threw a couple extra $100, which made me have to keep it to the end of December, right? Because I got to fulfill my obligation. I didn't realize how gray and white I was. Like, I know I'm getting old, but like when I shave it off, it's you don't see it, right? Well, I tried that. I tried to color it. My wife brought home some of that stuff where you spray in there. It looked like when I was a kid playing in a mud puddle. It just looked all dirty. Like I must have had the wrong stuff. Maybe she did it on purpose, but I ended up having to wash it off. What's that? Yeah. So that's why I'm not doing No Shave November this year personally. However, I'm raising money for other people. And there are several officers that are on my department that are doing No Shave November. So if you see them walking around with a beard, in fact, I think one guy's actually growing out his hair this year. Okay, that's fine. Whatever. They're supporting a good cause. So I believe it's the same as last year, St. Jude's. So all the money goes to St. Jude's. The good thing is we don't actually touch the money. It's all done online. It goes right to St. Jude's, and which is how I like it. We don't touch it at all. It just goes right to another place. All right. Have a great meeting.
Thank you.
Any motion to accept the police report?
I'll make a motion.
Second. All those in favor? Opposed? Chief Smith, fire report.
We had 12 calls for the month. Total calls for the year, 151. Total calls for the fiscal year, 177. We had 5 structures, 1 trash, 1 natural brush fire, poles, wires down, 1 CO2 activation, 2 auto accidents, and 1 fire police. 3 were in the 2803, 1 was in the 2804 box, 4 in the 31, and 4 in the 27.
Now, Borough Council, what I'm about ready to hand out to you is how transparent I can be with this fire department. What you see right here in front of you, and I'll get you all done, is a proposal from Newberry Township on a paid driver program. The second page, which is all colorful and dandy, is the total calls for Goldsboro Borough into Newberry Township. Let me tell you, it took me about 2 weeks to scrub that list. The colored pages, anything in blue is fire police. Anything in orange are calls that were made, but we were canceled. York apparently finds it convenient to cancel us, or cancel the call, but still calls it as a failed call for the fire department, which goes against it. But getting back to the township and their paid driver program, unfortunately, I do apologize. I have 1 copy left. I'm sorry. But the paid driver program, the town, yeah, trust me, it was a lot smaller when I first got it. But just to give you an insight on this, anything in orange shows York calls it as a failed call. However, there's dispatch and arrival times, response times already on there. I've gone back to the county to question that. The valid failed calls are in yellow. Blue calls that are marked as fail, or blue calls are fire police calls, they're counted as failures too. Some of the fire police that run with the fire department don't feel it necessary to run outside of the borough or a 28 box, say for instance 31 or 27 box. However, for them to get to a 2803 box, they have to go through the township. So that doesn't make a difference. But that's their prerogative. Yeah. So, getting back on the paid driver program, they are working in their budget for up to $80,000 to hiring 5 to 10 part-time firefighters, to run out of Station 31 Newberry. They have extended the interest to us and our fire departments to see if we'd be willing to be involved in it. We have tabled that and deciding whether or not we would go with this. The problem is they want this individual to be a township employee, so you would have 5 to 10 additional township employees part-time working 7 in the morning until 5. It's 10-hour shifts, essentially, is what it comes down to. But there are so many requirements on the paid driver program. However, the 3 chiefs, York, Haven, Newberry, and myself, questioned the public safety director and assistant director if this paid driver would be an interior firefighter. Per the qualifications, he's certified as a firefighter 1 pro board, interior firefighter, and vehicle education. However, we were told he would not be an interior firefighter, just solely a paid driver. The argument for us is, why are you hiring a paid driver if he's not going to be an interior firefighter? What if you have somebody that shows up that's 45 years old and is a fire chief that can operate the truck and you have the interior firefighter? That's the argument. We had a scheduled meeting on the 18th, the day prior to the Township Board of Supervisors meeting, to meet with 2 of the supervisors and discuss this program. I have 3 pages of questions for them. For example, this individual, any of the part-time paid drivers, they're going to have to be a member of the fire department, so they're covered under the vehicle insurance to operate the vehicle. Then if they're involved in an accident, is the township going to reach out and cover any difference on what is needed to be paid on damages to the vehicle? So there's a plethora of questions that I have for them, that I've gone through. But the other report, full transparency from this fire department to you as council on the calls that we respond to and the calls that get filled. Now, keep in mind, that is only into Newberry Township and York Haven. That is not within the borough. I can honestly state within the borough, we have one of the safest boroughs outside of the police regarding fire. Yeah. So, it's not like we're, not the world. So, but if the borough council at any time has any questions about any of this, please feel free to reach out and ask them.
So I saw in here about, for Newberry, Township, they were looking at this cost was going to be somewhere around $1 million they were going to put on for this?
Yes.
And this is all addressed at Newberry Township at this point?
Correct.
Have we seen anything that addresses anything to what our participation would cost?
Not yet, and I'm waiting for Pandora's box to be opened. Because 2 years ago, I'll remind council how the township was pushing for regionalization versus a merger. And under the merger, I posed the question from the mayor's hat and this mayor's seat, would you look at billing the boroughs for fire service if a merger occurred? And the response from the township supervisor was yes, they would. So doing so, then that a fire tax would have to be imposed.
This may not affect anything because the budget for the program, but interesting fact, less than a month ago, the governor signed an act that allowed the suspension of the 1 mil cap for both boroughs and townships, so those are a pair of new acts. Again, it might not affect anything, but just so you're aware.
Yeah.
You would have to suspend that by adopting a resolution.
Fortunately, unfortunately, this borough has been kept protected with another form of revenue being across the street for that fire department.
Right.
And that's what has staved off an implementation of a fire tax. And as mayor and a fire chief, I will do everything within my rights to make sure that never happens. And we've already shot down the merger, and I will go on the record and state we have a pending meeting with Newberry Township's fire department on Sunday to pursue possible regionalization between us and them. We would keep it status quo, nothing would change. But again, I had mentioned prior, another borough needs to be put on everybody's radar financially. So, and where they're going with that. Because it's not good.
Right, we know that it's not good.
So,
That's your favorite.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been bad for years.
And for them, I could see them, dissolving.
And they do
Possibly.
have a fire.
They have a fire tax, which hasn't done very much. So, but they're a good fire department, they're a good group of people down there. But it's unfortunate with the avenues that have been taken. So, but, as fire chief, that is my report. Again, if council at any time has questions, please feel free to ask them.
I don't know if it crosses over at all, but the township's much larger than our little borough down there. And they're talking about a 1 mil increase for a fire tax. Down here in our happy little borough, you know, our tax for the borough is only 1.1 mil at this point.
My argument with the paid driver program is, and I'll be realistic and honest with you, I work 4 days a week from home. I had the flexibility to respond on calls. So doing so, that piece, as long as I'm home, I have told the membership, as long as I'm home, that piece will always make it out. Because that to me, providing to the residents and to the, you know, neighboring municipality, that's important. So, but, I mean, you know, is it a good program? Absolutely. I would fully endorse it if they were to come back and say, okay, he's going to be an interior firefighter. Then I would fully endorse it. But as of right now, I can't.
Wasn't it discussed that his home base basically would be up here at Newberry, right?
Yes, because
So if he gets a call and Newberry's called out, Goldsboro's called out, who's he gonna drive?
Well, see, that's the
He'll
other
drive two vehicles.
That's the other thing too, full transparency here again. I submitted box changes for the 2802, 2803, and 2804. 2802 is going down South York Street all the way out towards Clyde. 2803 is up Pines, includes the woods. 2804 is out in Oakland Town. I submitted box changes, my recommendations. They took those box changes, wiped them out, and said, okay, this is what we're doing. I said, okay. So essentially on any specific certain calls, like structures like they are now, or any other calls, there's specific calls, all three departments are called out at the same time. The other hiccup I had with it is if we are dispatched and the paid driver's up at 31, he takes the P's. For some reason or another, we don't make it out, we scratch, we fail. That's where I have a problem, you know. And they're trying to put this out, but not once did anything come to the chiefs prior to me meeting with them on a Sunday morning. Or not a Sunday morning, Monday morning, prior to the budget meeting. So. But that is all I have as fire chief. So.
All right, anyone have any discussion, comments regarding the fire report? All right, hearing none, I need a motion to accept the fire report.
Make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All's in favor? Opposed? All right,
Thank you,
Mayor.
brother. I told him thank you. It's a free fill. That's all.
Mayor's report.
Mayor's report, disabled PT Cruiser in the square, you see that's gone. That was tagged and gone probably, I think, within 3 weeks. I don't know if the owner came down and got
What can we do about the pickup down?
It's gone.
it. It's gone.
Is it? It was just there the other day.
It was there,
Is
it
the
was
couch
there
on
this
there?
morning.
Yeah, it was there yesterday.
Couch and all's one.
The couch is still sitting there, one pushing over the pickup, I think.
Yeah,
That's the one right across from the companies there in Park Hill, right? I think somebody brought that out from the campfire.
Yeah, they did.
Because, I don't know, do they
Well, the
even go
pickup
back
truck
in
was
the
there
campfire?
first, and then there's.
Do they go in the campground, Republic?
No. No.
Who does their trash collection?
They used to have a dumpster sitting right there outside the bridge and it was still.
Yeah.
They don't now.
Maybe we're going to send down to the, but take me a smaller truck. And they have trouble getting our guys that just have, 6 trash cans down through there.
Yeah. Speaking of trash removal, I had two phone calls about trash being missed.
That's ongoing, yeah.
But I don't know if, it's the same driver, I know that.
Now it is, yes.
Yeah, he does trash and recycling.
Yes.
He'll take the truck back, dump it, come back, get the rest of the trash, take that back, and then get the recycling truck.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, he does Lewisburg too.
Yeah. So, and then I was notified about barking dog ordinance. Just a reminder for record,
There is an ordinance in place on excessive parking within the borough and borough limits. The hours are 10 to 6, I believe, because in this ordinance, it doesn't state the hours, so I went based off of.
I thought it was 10 to 7, but you have to read it.
I think it's 6.
Might be right.
Yeah. But just a reminder, try to stave off, the excessive parking. The one resident I spoke to, I suggested proper control methods to prevent the dog from barking. I have 2 dogs, they bark. I have controlling methods for them, so, but within reason, obviously.
Here in First Avenue and Broadway.
Yep.
I'm sitting out 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning on my deck, and these dogs are just.
They're the next residents that I
They're
will be talking
constantly
to.
barking. Every time a car goes down the alley, they're running up and down the fence. I mean, I like dogs, but man, it's a little annoying.
Yeah. But I will be addressing that with them too. Because I hear them at 9, 10 o'clock at night when I'm out walking mine.
Yeah. Well, I enjoy them.
But that's all I have for the mayor's report.
All right. Any comments or discussion from the mayor?
Can I ask a question? Yes, I do. What is the ordinance, if that's how everything's worded, as far as parking on the road? You have an area up in Shelley's, when you come around the bend, you have a family, one on each side that must have about 4 or 5 cars per household. And it's hard as wide as Shelley's Lane, it's hard to come around the bend when you have cars parked on both sides of the road. And then you have people that come up through Riverview that don't even obey the stop sign. So.
Right now, the only thing that covers any of this is going to be Chapter 15, Motor Vehicles and Traffic, under General Parking Regulations. On borough roads, where they're designated for angle parking, they're to be parked at an angle. Outside of that, parked against the curb, and pretty much nothing else that can be done. I mean, they're within their, once you're on a borough road, it's pretty much a public road and belonging to the borough. But, you can show, I'm sure that it'd be the same thing as if you had a large party. They're gonna have to park somewhere, and they park properly against the curb.
Okay.
And that's pretty much all that can be done.
Curious. Thank you.
The no parking procedures differ on whether or not it's a borough road or a PennDOT road, but oftentimes you would necessitate a traffic study before you enact any kind of no parking ordinance.
You had mentioned before that Shelley's Riverview wasn't designed to have on-street parking.
No, not one of the.
Yeah, originally that was designed not to have on-street parking, but then it got changed after, because people were screaming space.
Can you maybe limit it to parking only one side of the street?
You're going to do a traffic study.
We did that.
And they'll make a decision. You don't get to make that
We
decision.
did that already, long time ago in their house.
And then work?
Who are you gonna tell which side they can't park on?
Well, they decided in the cities and everywhere else.
The traffic study will decide that, the county.
Yeah, you eliminated on one side.
Don't tell us which side you can.
The original covenants for Shelley's Riverview stated that, if you have a copy.
Yes.
There was supposed to be no on-street parking, everybody was supposed to have space on their property to park. That's why the streets like Big Sky, all Overlook and all them are narrow streets. And that was all put in by Jack Short. The same thing as, you probably don't know that the water company was owned by Shelley's Riverview at one time. That yet any resident of Shelley's was actually responsible for anything that happened to the water company if the borough wasn't taking it over. And right now, you'd be into at least $750,000 that you would pay just for the upgrades that the borough has paid to the water company. And I appealed that before Judge Kacharis at the Department of DEP about it with Jack Short, and I don't know. I later found out that I was threatened by DEP, that he was paying off DEP.
Corey, if I'm correct, Shelley's also had an HOA, didn't they?
No, I do
They
remember that.
had it in the covenants is, yeah, but they came out and then they had about 3 different versions of the covenants. Because you were supposed to plant 2 trees on your property and
Yeah, Karen Fritz went around.
Yep, Karen Fritz, and you know, she was, and I mean, if you would have seen the water company before we took it over, I mean, we pieced that thing back together over the last, I've done work there for 30 years.
I've been there for 33.
Yeah, and it's,
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
know.
and that was that old well house that was down there. I couldn't even stand up inside the building, and it was always water in it, and it had, you know, a couple hundred amp service, electrical service coming into it, and it was disgusting. I mean, the borough wouldn't take it over the water company.
Yeah, but as far as the parking, I remember it was supposed to be that you had to be in your driveway.
Yep.
Yep.
Everything you were supposed, everybody that lived there was supposed to park in their driveway.
Yep. Yep. You're right. Yep.
I think you need a motion, right?
Yeah, well,
Need a motion to accept the mayor's report?
Make a motion.
Second?
Second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
ELHP report.
Slow down.
You have it in your packet. What? You have it in your packet.
Oh.
Moving on.
All right, is there any, member or public comment on the, ELH and P or water company reports?
Have we decided what we're gonna raise the electric?
No, none of that.
Okay.
We got till June to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Hearing none, I need a motion to accept the ELH and P report.
I'll make a motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I need a motion to accept the water company report.
Make a motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nothing for the engineer.
Nothing for the engineer. Any discussion?
No.
Alright, I need a motion to accept the engineer's report.
Make a motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Alright, solicitor's report. Update on the appeal and replace of the 2023-1 emergency service tax credit ordinance time.
Before I get to that, apologies, I want to circle back to the explanation up front at the beginning of the meeting about the unfilled vacancies. I did note or thumb through my folder here, and I do have a copy of the case that I was referring to earlier. For anybody interested, it's Coughlin versus Borough of Darby. It's a Commonwealth Court case from 2004, and the citation is 844 Atlantic 2nd 624. Let me know if you need that repeated. But to read from some of the snippets, obviously a comprehensive reading is most preferable, but in that, the Commonwealth Court said that the trial court failed to consider that Section 901 of the Borough Code places exclusive authority in council to address a vacancy in its membership, and second, it imposes no limit on the number of appointments council can make to fill a vacancy. Next paragraph. Here, through no fault of anyone, the vacancy created by Mr. Coughlin's death was not placed on the November 2003 municipal election ballot. The law is clear that the legislature has charged council to fill vacancies that arise in, quote, any manner whatsoever. Citation back to Section 901 of the Borough Code. So, all that being said, it doesn't change anything that we talked about earlier, but I just want to provide a little bit. The two options, given that this Commonwealth Court case reverse the trial court that ordered a special election, given those provisions of the Borough Code, there would be two paths forward, gauging off of when you would, I guess, ultimately consider the vacancy to be created. If you go by the discovery rule based off of communications back and forth and me bringing to the attention that at bare minimum a second resignation, or not resignation, resolution should have been done for reappointment in January following the municipal election. That would create the timing more to this month or last month or so. There are timings outlined in the Borough Code of who can act when. I think that's what we were hitting on previously, of Borough Council has an amount of time, and you were bringing up the operation of law in January, course of action. If you choose the former, the one that I was suggesting for action tonight, I'm not pushing you to do any action, just adding more background. You would still be within that timing period because that runs off of exception, or accepting the vacancies, etc. The latter, just to give you an option or an idea of what you could pursue, all those timings have passed because obviously this is designed to operate on a timely basis whenever vacancies arise. Under that interpretation, it would have occurred in January. You would have not made the appointment in time in January. It would have then proceeded to what's known as the vacancy board, which is comprised of members who are explicitly outlined in the Borough Code. Their time would also be stopped, which means that it would proceed under subparagraph D, which is petitioning the Court of Common Pleas, and ultimately the Court of Common Pleas would appoint a registered elector of the borough. So you get back to the point, if you go through the legal muck and spending the money and time to do that, where you would have the court then appoint a member. And I'm speculating because there's no case I could find exactly on point, but I think the court would heavily weigh in its consideration the mindset of the board and how it operated under whenever it filled the vacancy in the first place of those members. So just outlining how complicated you can get, should that be the avenue that you want to go down and spend the money to do that for the remaining 12 months. Again, not pushing for further action, but that would probably be the other alternative to proceeding with the unanswered legal question of it arising within the last month.
Can we rank this up on the borough manager's wall up in the office so it doesn't happen again? Like above the door or something?
I will make sure that timings are kept to. It will not happen under your watch. If I have my way, it will not. But hopefully that adds a little bit more clarity to what I obviously failed to do the first time around. So there's that. Any questions on that, or do we want to put that to bed for now?
Put it to bed for now.
Okay. All right. Sorry to derail again. Emergency Services Tax Credit Ordinance. Originally, it was the posture of the board, I believe, to simply procedurally change the mechanism by which the program operated to be one via resolution rather than ordinance and keep it substantively the same. I've drafted up those materials to do that in repealing the ordinance and then a form resolution to do that. The authorizing legislation allows you to do either. The theory would be it would be easier to amend moving forward should you want to change elements of the program. In that time, there was some feedback of potentially ways we could better the program to match some of the similar surrounding communities that have adopted similar programs. If you were to pursue with a change, I wouldn't do it. Well, not that I wouldn't do it, but there's not enough time to be able to do it before the end of the year to take effect. Because you would have to hold and advertise a public hearing to change substantively the provisions and then provide those to the relevant entities for notice. So you could proceed with doing it in form, but honestly, my recommendation would be to hold off and do a more substantive revision of it to save you all some money and to make it clear and not complicated at the turn of the year that the program is the same for now, which is the ultimate goal anyway. You all were just wanting to do it with a resolution for future changes. So that's kind of the summary there.
So you think they should table it?
I think you should table it, and I can further walk through some of the substantive changes and give a summary of them and some benefits, or for you all to kick it around and choose, or even hold the public hearing for you to thoroughly consider them.
So they'll do table it?
Yeah.
I think there was some issue with the dates on the ordinance as it is now. There was a problem with fulfilling the obligations in it.
I don't think there was any problem with dates when you're done. It was a matter of having the right stuff to the right people.
Correct.
Yeah, the dates I think were fine.
Alright, then we'll, we need a motion to table it?
You can, there's no official action, you're fine.
All right, I need a motion to accept the solicitor's report.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? All right, committee reports, buildings and grounds.
Yeah, we put a small parking lot up, beside the basketball court in front of the willow tree for the Shelley Park, not just for the dog park, but for Shelley Park, dog field. So that'll get better when spring comes, but right now it's good. You can get off the road, get parked, and not have to worry about being in the mud.
Yeah, that's good for now. Looks good.
Thank you.
Who will be paying for that?
For what?
For the parking lot?
You guys, they're taxpayers.
That's not coming out of the donations that's going into the dog park?
No, that's already used up.
Well, I oppose that.
Shelley's needed a parking lot anyways.
Huh?
No matter how you look at it, they needed a parking lot there. There's no place for cars to get off the road.
Well, I seen that Stone or Stone Dust or something, right now they just park on that.
That's, yeah, so we
Yeah,
just
that's what
did.
he's talking about.
That's what I just put in.
Yeah.
Or it's not getting paid.
No,
No.
Okay.
because they can't park down on the dump roads or the dump road, railroad, whatever it is.
Yeah, but I
It's a
parked
state-
up there whenever they had the opening ceremony and
Well, right,
the
but that's a
grass was
state
no
road.
different.
Being a state road down there, that could create a problem because it's not really that wide and people start parking on the roadway. So that's why.
That's a state road.
Yeah, it's needed its own parking lot for a long time. It wasn't that much.
What's that?
It wasn't that much. Maybe $1,000 total for everything, stones and all.
Okay,
I have a question about buildings and grounds to Charlie. You said about blacktopping the basketball court. Do you have any idea?
No, I didn't talk.
Like to skim coat it or something like that? Or
What's that?
even just to like skim coat it or?
Yeah, I didn't talk to anybody at all about it yet. So,
Okay, for grounds, I took notice that the fire hydrant between the address of 461 and 465 up on Shelley's. The fire hydrant has a out of service
right, they don't work
thing on it. Why is that?
because there's not enough water. Fire truck would suck the tank in up down there.
There's only a 6-inch water main running around the
Yeah.
development up there, which the fire truck could, Jack Short put them in again to appeal to the insurance people. There's no way you can hook that fire truck up to a 6-inch water line and pump the water that's in that line. Our pump, even at the building itself, will put out probably a little over 100 gallons a minute. What's the fire truck do?
1,500 GPM. up
Yeah,
to 2,000.
gallons per minute.
Maybe
You would
suck
suck the
the
water right out of your house.
Maybe
So
sucking
Lord
the
forbid
faucets out of your
that we
house.
have a fire up there, we would have to spend on the tank.
Yes. My question then would be, why don't we cap them off then?
They are, the captain said they're out of service.
They were put out of service,
Yeah, but the hydrants are still in place, correct?
They're there, yes,
and that was to drain the system if we never needed them.
to let back air back through.
How many are up there? Joe?
Two.
There's two, yeah.
Okay.
all right, emergency management.
I got the information back from the state police, I gave it to Charlie, Charlie gave it back to me, I just sent it back into him again, so.
Yes.
Finance budget workshop was held on November 6th, 2024. Is there any discussion further on that?
No, it all looks good to me. What you guys think?
So we need a motion to advertise the 2025 budget.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed?
I guess I should read. General fund. Balance after, general. Last off so I can see
Are
it.
you reading off of Matt's version, or are you reading off?
Yeah, Matt's version. Matt's version. It's a lot nicer. General fund revenues, $664,271. General fund expenses, $591,000. Total balance left, $73,271. Utility fund, The electric utility revenue is $971,276. Electric utility expenses, $814,400. Balance is $156,876. Water fund, water fund revenues, $205,118. Water fund expenses, $106,020, which leaves us a balance, $99,098. State motor fund, revenues is $181,768. State motor fund expenses, $112,500, with a balance of $69,268. That's all general revenue. Do the investment accounts. Total investment funds for general fund, electric, water is $2,101,573. The operating accounts for general fund, utility fund, water fund, and state motor fund are $539,297. It should be about over there for you. Right? Yeah, that's all. That's all what we already read, so just putting separate language for them. Yep, we're good. We're good. We'll meet again in December.
Planning?
Nothing.
Alright, recreation, we have tree lighting November 29th at 6 p.m. in the square. Please stop by and join us for free hot chocolate and cookies in the square. Sanitation and sewer.
You and Corey go ahead.
I think that.
What's that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Streets and highways.
Here we go. Yeah, there's nothing going on here.
Electric utility and water company, we have a generator that was installed at the water company, it's up and running.
Running great.
And next is the proposal from Next Era Energy effective until 2035.
Yes.
Any further public comment on the Next Era proposal?
So, you guys talked about that at the last workshop meeting. You're not gonna stay with the 2032 contract that we have?
Yeah,
Okay, you said that you have 2035, right? That's the reason I asked.
Right, that's the contract that they gave us, it's on the table, either approve or.
Okay, okay. So they're not letting us go with the option of 2032?
What's that?
They're not letting us have the
Not
option?
in the new one, they have the price schedule goes out to
So everybody else wants to
Yeah,
go?
but those are the two choices we can make, if I understand this. We can either stay locked in at the current
Right.
existing energy price.
Yes.
Which we have locked in at $56.82 per megawatt hour through 2032.
Yep.
Or they came back to us with this proposal that is based on what, a 4.9% increase roughly? And goes through 2035.
Yes. And that's the one I don't recommend going with.
Right, so we need to, do we need to make a motion tonight?
Yes,
What our
I need to be
decision's
able-
gonna
I need
be?
to tell them.
So you can tell them where we,
Yes, they're calling me tomorrow morning to find out.
I'm gonna stick with the 2032.
for general discussion, that's what I wanted to do. I didn't want to give
You
up
guys need
that,
to put it to a vote.
that energy rate. Right. I'm figuring we're just talking about it right now.
Yeah.
So the yearly change starting in 2027 would be a 2.89% increase, which continues until 2035. So that's their proposal is that we adjust our rates.
Right.
Or they're adjusting their rates in that manner.
Right. It's gonna fit us better, it'll be cheaper for us, for you guys, I'm sorry. For you guys.
So does someone want to make a motion?
So
So just to make sure I understand this, is their proposed pricing to run through 2035 guaranteed that it will not increase due to capacitance increases?
No, nothing's guaranteed, Will.
Nothing.
Well, the only thing that is guaranteed is
Is our 2030 price.
Is our $56.82
Yep.
per megawatt hour.
They cannot change that. We signed
But
that.
we will have to bear the burden of any increases in transmission and capacitance.
Right.
I wanna make sure we're all on the same page on that.
Yep, you're right.
So we will see, this only locks in one piece of a three-piece rate. This locks in the energy piece.
I have a question. I'm
Yes.
sorry. So this next era energy, is this the ones that's raising our rates come January?
Yes.
Well, it's not January.
And-
Not January now.
But this
Doesn't
is-
happen until June.
Huh?
It doesn't happen until June.
Now it's not happening until
It's not,
June.
never was, never was happening until June.
Okay, but this is the energy company that we already get our electric from.
We get our electric from AMP.
This is from the, PMJ Next Era Energy, who supplies the capacity surcharge
In the transition.
in the transition, or
Transmission.
transmission, portion of our energy, of our bill.
Don't you think this is something that the borough people should kind of like already been informed of and let us put an input in?
We don't know,
Maybe we want to change.
we don't know that. We
We've
don't know
had,
yet.
we've had 2 utility meetings, during the budget meetings the past 2 months,
Yeah.
where we've discussed it and we've had comments from members of the public.
NextEra doesn't get.
I mean, I missed this.
NextEra doesn't get it-
I was here 2
doesn't
months
get it.
ago and I don't
Yeah,
remember.
but we don't have an opportunity to make a decision on it because it's put out on an auction. And what it gets bid at is what it comes back as. So they had no idea this is what it was gonna come back as.
So this is still the contract that we had from Mr. Fisher.
Yeah. But the transition and the capacity is not contracted.
Yeah, that's on a,
Yeah.
a monthly basis.
Right. Right.
It must have been one damn long contract. Okay.
That's why we're trying to hold on to the 5682 for our energy generation. It's the only thing we can really hold on to, that we can really hold to. The capacity increases and transmission increases are just gonna be dictated down.
Right.
Or that's my understanding.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so you guys make the vote.
So we need a motion to accept.
I make a motion
Next
that
year's.
we stick with our existing 5682 per megawatt hour next era through year 2032.
And I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay.
So now that's gonna go back to them tomorrow.
Yep.
And that group's gonna make a decision and we'll see what comes out of that.
Right. Thank you for that one.
Zoning?
Pardon?
Zoning?
Nothing.
If there's any further discussion or public comment on committee reports? Hearing none, I need a motion to accept the committee reports.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Anything opposed or? Unfinished business, West Shore Recreation participation for 2025.
Yeah, we chose last meeting to abolish that, not pay for it. We can't. We have to do that in September. They need proper notification of the.
So there was a contract that was in place.
There's a
We've got
family, like
bylaws.
little family agreement thing. There's no ordinance in anything to protect that. So we could, I'll let the lawyer, I'll let him fill you in.
Alright, yeah, so, correct me if I'm mistaken, but following the action taken at last meeting, you went to inform West Shore Recreational of our choice, or
Right.
the board, or Borough Council's choice.
Yes.
And they responded with, said, so you go essentially, but here's also
Yeah.
in signed intergovernmental cooperation agreement. between the participating members. I then reviewed that and noticed, yes, what you're saying, the notice provisions that require informing them of September proceeding to allow other participating members the opportunity to recalculate the costs accordingly, but then noted to you that intergovernmental cooperation agreements, particularly those signed and dated 2018 previously, require an ordinance approving them for everyone participating in them, and I could not see on borough's website any record of any ordinance. So there's an argument that our entrance into the agreement in the first place was not legally valid to begin with. But if you were to proceed under that route and strong arm them, you're at the risk, practically speaking, of deteriorating your relationship over what is nominally a small sum of money.
My recommendation to you is to continue it for this year. It's $3,000. That way we keep the community friendship. And next September, we opt out. If that's what everybody wants.
In September of next year, or when?
Yes.
You send it next year. You could send it in today.
Yes, good. Just so we get it by September.
So it's if you get our full drawing for next year's participation, here's our advance notice, or something to that effect.
I'll send it in with the contract.
Is that why we should have made that motion?
At the time of discussing last meeting, this intergovernmental cooperation agreement has not yet been identified.
Yeah, we didn't know that.
This all happened since last meeting. It's not even to read.
So, with Brian, so I'll have to continue, I was the alternate for these meetings, so I'll have to continue going to these meetings.
Yeah, and we can reappoint,
Sorry. I can't.
So you need a vote on if we're gonna continue.
Okay, I need a motion to continue participation with West Shore Recreation for 2025.
With a letter of the company
Identifying opting
saying
out
that
in
we're
September.
opting out after this year.
With a letter opting out effective September 2025.
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second.
All's in favor? Opposed?
Thank you. Take care of that.
270 South York Street, tree located within the utility area.
They're here.
We're Eddie Shelley Taylor, 270 South York Street, like I said. If you don't mind, there's a drawing, a hand drawing, that may be of interest and may be needed. We spoke last month about our tree that was excessively and improperly cut back by the borough, to the point that 2 certified arborists stated it will not recuperate. It's caused permanent property damage. Really forever. Okay. Permanent damage to the tree, and if left alone, would have permanent property damage to our house or our neighbor's house. It isn't a right of way issue, but a property damage issue. We have some questions. The first would be, was it necessary to have our tree cut back so severely? After all, it's 14 feet past the electric lines. First question.
No, it wasn't. You had the option to keep the tree trimmed back off the power lines, and you chose not to.
The power lines are on the curb.
Pardon me?
The power lines are on the curb.
Yes. But you chose not to keep the tree trimmed back. So the borough comes in and cuts. Borough doesn't trim, they cut.
No, it's the ordinance is tree trimming.
Yeah, we don't trim. We don't hire tree trimmers, we hire tree cutters. They're power line tree cutters, that's what they do.
So this is my first question. So you're saying that the curb, there's a street, a curb, has a pole, the lines are up top, our feet is 14 feet, our tree is 14 feet back, as it says right here. The pole, tree, 14 feet.
That's the pole. Look where the lines are. There's T props up there, 4 foot past that.
Okay, pole, 4 foot past. Well, it looks like it's another 10 feet here to our tree.
Yes, we're 10 foot, we have 20 foot right of ways.
I'm not asking about right of way. You may have 24 right of way. The electric line's here. There's a 4 foot pole going out the top. You said it was a T
Across
pole.
T, yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yes. Where that first wire is to where we cut is right around 10 feet.
The ordinance says a minimum of 5 feet.
That's
It does
the
not
ordinance.
say a maximum.
Pennsylvania right of way changed all that to where now all utilities have 20 feet right of ways. That's a borough thing that you're reading. And yeah, you're supposed to keep your trees trimmed, and you have to keep them trimmed back 5 feet. That is an ordinance that says you, the property owners, must trim your trees.
We said in September we were here, October we were here, is that we lived here in town since 1983. It's been trimmed back every 3 years. We're under the grandfather clause, and this year it's back 14 feet. What's the difference between this year and it was since 83 up to 3 years ago?
3 years ago, we trimmed the whole tree back.
The tree grew out. The permanent damage to our tree, if left alone, will have permanent damage to the tree. The arboritis, we have statements from them. The tree will not recuperate. It recuperated ever since this last time, since August, late August. It has always recuperated. It will not recuperate this time.
What happened is the gentleman cut the limbs off behind the exterior bark.
It's called a collar.
The collars protect the tree from insects, from everything else, and it protects it, allows those collars propagate tree growth. With those collars cut off, it opens the whole tree to disease and death. The tree will die.
Here's a question for you. Does anybody have any input to put for the first question? Was it necessary to have our tree cut back so severely, 14 feet back?
It's 10 feet back. You're the only tree that has to be trimmed in Goldsboro. So, yes.
Well, I thought there was a tree back in the back alley you trimmed off too.
What's that?
I thought there was a tree back in the back alley you trimmed off.
No, we didn't.
Oh, okay.
We went back in the back alley.
Okay. This is the question I have here.
And the one at John Mowers, he chose this time to have it removed rather than.
And this would be for solicitor perhaps. Does the borough have a right to cut a tree back so severely meaning past the bark, to cause permanent damage?
Unfortunately, the authorizations, they are leading to the cutting back of your tree are pretty uniform and unanimous of protecting the right to trim trees extending to the right of way for the exact reason of protecting power lines. So I can sympathize with your tree being damaged, but there's...
But the electric lines, as he said, is 4 foot at the T. Our tree is way back. That's not going to interfere with those electric lines at all.
I appreciate your preparation of this diagram, but my understanding is that it's still within the right of way, and that's a legally operative consideration.
I don't know if they have you have to have permanent damage. I don't think that's in the law, that you can take it back to that permanent damage. I do not know. I'm not a lawyer.
No,
I just
you're
know
right.
it's common sense.
You're right that the law does not design itself around permanent damages in trees, which is
Okay.
why trees are the owner's responsibility, and continued trimming and maintenance leads to situations where you avoid cutting in the first place, unfortunately.
Dealing with ordinances, was a letter sent out to the property owner to advise them to cut back the tree?
No.
Okay. The
No.
ordinance states a notice should have gone out.
Yeah, that's.
I gave him verbal notice.
No, it was no written one, and that's what the ordinance
I said I
says.
gave you verbal notice.
But the ordinance says, as the mayor pointed out, should have been sent to us, and it wasn't.
What was said earlier is that this is not the singular legal authority for the trimming of trees. This is the borough's authority, but the borough is a municipal electric. They own their facilities, they're treated as a public utility in that respect, and there's.
You're losing me. If the ordinance says you're supposed to send a homeowner a letter,
Yes.
you're telling me it doesn't matter.
I'm telling you that the borough is not proceeding under this ordinance whenever it cut your tree. I'm saying that there are two, at least two, there's probably multiple, more than two authorities, and the one that Charlie's referring to, it's a little bit more broad and sweeping as it relates to right-of-ways, is the protection of public utility facilities.
So if the borough has a lot of ordinance, and I say, I don't want to follow this ordinance could be thrown away because, well, it says here for the borough, but we're not going to follow this order, why should we follow this order?
Yeah, and I understand this is very complicated.
It's not complicated.
It-
Either you follow what the ordinance says, or you don't. It's either this or that. It's either the law.
Maybe a good example, just to illustrate how there can be multiple authorities at play at once. You have, this is not related to this, but you have federal and state systems of law.
It's okay,
right?
sir. It's okay, sir. I'm so sorry. I'm very, very either naive or really stupid. But no. If the ordinance is written there in a town I live in, I'm going to go by that ordinance.
Yes.
I didn't know that I had a choice.
There are a lot of laws to keep.
But you're saying you all have a choice, but we don't have a choice.
The borough has the ability to proceed under any legal authority that it can operate under. You, the homeowner, relatively speaking, are more limited whenever we're talking in the context of public utilities. Again, I can sympathize with your tree, but from a legally operative perspective, it sounds like, without having any further information here, that the borough is proceeding under the authority of trimming the trees back to protect the area within the public utility.
Sir, what harm would have been to trim the tree back to the 3 or 4 foot of the tree? What harm would it have done?
I can't answer that. I don't know.
Nothing. What they did is they scabbed the tree. They cut an artery. If you and I get cut past the skin down to an artery level, we will bleed like H.
The law can be somewhat unforgiving at times, not taking into account things like this, but the primary purpose of the law as it was written was the protection of the power line facilities. So I can sympathize, but
We didn't mind cutting.
I know Charlie said that they're tree cutters, not tree, but I mean, I think they did go overkill on this one.
that's something that you can communicate to them.
Well, you can't communicate to them now, because
No.
it's already done.
Again, yeah, but from the legal purpose, if we're discussing the legal purpose, nothing was done incorrectly.
But sir, when Charlie came there, he said, "Oh yeah, is the borough ever going to come through and trim any other trees any other time? Next 3 years from now? Or is this already said in pre-August? This is the last time we're going to offer tree trimming. Is this what it said?
I'm not familiar with the maintenance schedule or
The limbs of that tree were out in the wire.
No. Is the borough going to come through town and offer? They offered it every 3 years.
No.
They're not going to do it again.
No.
You should not be relying on the borough to maintain your trees.
That's your obligation.
No, I'm not saying that I am. I'm just saying that when Charlie came, he said, do you want your tree trimmed back or cut down? I said, trim back. He said, we're taking it back to the tree. He had a pre-descent. I don't want it back to the tree. And if you have that little stop sign right there, that's closer to the tree than it has ever been, because he said, this is the last time the borough's ever going to come through. Either you get it cut down for free or trim for free.
I never said that.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't, because we get through every time we have to. I never said this is the last time we're coming through. I said this is the last time I'm gonna offer you to take it down. That was my word to you.
No, you weren't out there. I was out there.
Okay, but I've heard that.
And I said, I want it cut back to here where the little stop sign is. He said, I'm taking it back to the tree.
And he didn't.
It was already predetermined, we're gonna ruin this tree. He knew what he was doing.
I'm not a tree person, so you're wrong.
Then I don't know what you're in this business for if you don't know what you're doing.
You allowed the guy that trimmed it, cut the skin of the tree.
He told him to.
Into the vein.
He told him, cut it
As
back
a word.
Cut it back more. Cut it back
The tree
more.
is
No, I
gone.
didn't say cut it back more. I never
So you saying that this tree trimming cutters you said, okay, do your job, and they actually cut it back that far.
I showed them where the 10-foot mark was from that line, and that's what they cut to.
Where's the 10-foot play into that?
Pardon?
The ordinance states 5 minutes.
5 foot for them to keep their lines trimmed. It's a Pennsylvania state law ordinance, whatever you want to say, 20-foot right of ways for utilities.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the borough has, that is the utility distance. Yes.
Okay.
The only issue we have is the people that came and cut, came at your authority, and it will kill the tree. The tree will die.
Okay.
Okay, is that
That's
okay?
with you.
I don't know
Did you say that's okay?
I don't know anything about it, if it will or won't. I have no idea.
Oh, I will.
But you said last time, I'm glad that tree's not in my yard.
It's like
The first time you mean, not the last time.
This time. In October, you said, I'm glad the tree's not in my yard.
So why would I say that?
Did anybody-
Why would I say that?
you know why.
You know.
Why would I say that?
You've had a fight with us ever since you've been in office.
No.
Yes, you have.
Okay.
You brought it up last time. Well,
I
yes,
had a
you
fight
did.
with you, though. You guys
Not
did what you
physical.
did.
Deborah,
Yeah.
never mind.
You guys did what you did, and I walked away from it. I let you do what you did. And that's fine.
You know, I like to go back and see the notes of 3 years ago when the trends were. I like to go back 3 years and see the notes that
Authorized.
Authorizes.
People come in.
No, not authorized it.
But told them to.
He knows what I'm talking about. I like to see what really happened. So, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, you brought it up last time. Oh, yes, you brought it up last time.
I what last time?
You brought it up last time, 3 years ago. Don't even say anything.
Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
comments. Councilperson's comments, or comments. Melissa? Yeah. Ron?
Anything?
Yeah.
I've noticed we've had some cats showing up on our end of town now. We never have cats roaming our end of town. We have like a black and white one, like a big white one, and like a tiger cat. Don't know wherever it came from.
Black one with white balls.
Huh?
Black one with white balls.
Yeah, black, white.
He was looking at my side last door here 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
As a matter of fact.
I probably were down at Trailer Park.
I've spent more money fixing feral cats. And of course, once you fix them, you have to put them back. But
No, these are feral. They have, two of them have collars.
but they're being dropped off, so if you're
Right.
seeing them and they're collared.
Yeah, two have collars, and there's a big
But-
white one that doesn't have
But the
collars.
feral ones, it's been unfortunate.
So who contacts the, like, animal control to catch them and to find out, or
Yeah.
remove them, or?
Yeah, or animal control.
Because we kept wondering why one neighbor was getting hair on her furniture on the porch all the time. And they have no animals, they don't understand where they're coming from, and then there's white hair all over it, but it's upstairs, and there's a big white cat in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing we can say is for residents, there's an ordinance, I believe, that says you're not supposed to let them roam.
What you could do is just live catch them, turn them into SPCA, or live catch them and release them up in the shells. No, I'm just kidding.
Drop them
I'm kidding. I've gotten calls here. I've gotten calls up this year.
Drop them over Doug's fence.
Yeah.
$60.
Well,
So
we'll
I
chase the
thought-
rabbits away.
So I can live trap them, or we can call the animal control guy?
Yes, you could. Yes.
Alright, that's a little comment I had.
And I'm kidding.
Bill?
No comment.
Rob?
None.
Will? New business, acceptance of Brian Hannon's resignation from the council. Brian Hannon, contacted us and, said he would like to resign.
And you got something in writing on that?
Yeah, I got an email on that.
He resigned effective immediately, but the legally operative significance here is upon your acceptance, which then starts the clock for your authority to find a replacement. To fill out the remainder of his term.
Do we need a motion to accept that, or?
Yes, I would.
When did he turn in a letter or email?
He emailed, was the,
September, October? September.
No, October.
October.
All right, I'll put a motion out there that we accept Brian Hannon's resignation.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
To be clear, now you have 45 days to make that appointment, otherwise it moves to a vacancy board.
I'd like to make a put to the council. Mr. Mike Smith. Nomination from the mayor's office.
Okay.
Yeah, have to call into the office.
Yeah.
Or come in.
Alright.
Is there?
Pardon me, I didn't hear that.
Myself.
Putting Mike Smith in
Fielding candidates for.
fielding candidate.
Yes, if there's.
Which he'll contact the office.
Can
For Brian's
we have
position?
everybody's?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I thought you said for mayor.
No.
If any residents are interested in joining council, please reach out to the borough office, and express your interest.
Should we ask everybody to just submit a letter of?
Yeah, absolutely. Councilwide, that really the legal requirement is to register elector of the municipality for at least a year.
Will we have a chance to question this gentleman?
Like,
The council members?
Is it?
Yeah, I'll bring the light and.
There's no interview process. There's no interview process. What was your question? Same as you were.
We didn't go to you.
Well, you did.
I knew you.
Okay, I would just like to understand the process.
Yeah.
So we don't have to go through all this stuff we went through with the appointing Rob and that. I don't wanna have to go through this again.
Well, it's still an appointment.
It will happen. His term, the appointment that you would be making would be, since we're outside of the time period for the municipal election, to serve the remainder of the term up until that.
Okay, I just, you know what I'm saying? Y'all know what I'm saying? Okay, also, then that would relieve me of having to go to these, recreation meetings. Because Brian,
He's a busy guy.
Well,
because Brian was.
Bill, not until reorg, until we appoint, or,
Okay.
reorg someone.
I'm just trying to.
Yeah, you're up to driver.
We'll just make it a primary.
But it's gonna be kind of awkward for me being there knowing that you don't wanna be there.
Okay, once again, no disrespect to you, but, is this gonna be out into the borough public that there is a vacancy on council?
I think that was precisely the point that was being made, is
Yeah.
to cast a wide net and field all those who are interested.
Anybody can do it. I can do it for you.
But you're gonna.
But you still have to contact the office, go through the procedures that's being required, write in a letter. I'd like to be considered for this position. That's what the.
I just meant for all of the borough to know that there's an open position.
They will.
I mean,
It's on video, it goes out and everything, so a lot of people.
Yeah, on this video here.
I'm gonna put it on the website and put it on the Facebook.
okay.
Treasurer's report.
Oh, what about the 2025 fee
Yeah,
Yeah.
2025 fee resolution.
Getting ahead of yourself, yeah.
Okay. 2025 fee resolutions, please be prepared for any recommendations for that resolution at our January reorganization meeting. So,
Like trash will go up, utility probably.
yeah, if you have any thoughts on it, bring it with you.
We're gonna put the $9 meter fee and.
Yes.
All fees should be, to the
All
extent
fees,
possible,
every fee.
put it there.
Is that fee resolution, can that be put online so that?
The current one's online.
Oh, it is? Oh, sorry.
The upcoming one, once it's approved, we'll put it on as well.
But the one that's in place now is there?
Yes.
Yeah. The new one will be in January.
After the
During the
Okay, so, last week I made a phone call to a neighboring municipality, and spoke to their, township manager. I inquired about police service in Lewisberry Borough. Currently, they pay $54.51 quarterly at roughly $22,000 a year for their police service. And we're paying, right now, budgeted tentatively, $82,000 for 2025.
But that doesn't mean that Fairview will cover us for $22,000.
Well, even at $40,000, that's a $40,000 cost cut.
And the township lines right here at Valley Road.
Yeah.
Right at the Stillhouse.
But I just wanted to make sure that was made verbal to all council and public.
I have a question real quick. I might not be very smart or anything else like that, but shouldn't they be, because of the amount of dollars that is, 82,000, 40,000, everything, isn't that bid? Shouldn't that be bid? Just like if you were contracting a contractor, come in and do work at your private place, your borough, your whatever, you put out bid work for that much money.
This is with respect to the emergency services, is that the question?
Yeah.
The only exception within the borough code to professional services not being bidded.
Well, you go out and you hire someone to do work if you expect them to be professional. So, tree trimmers, anything. What defines professional work?
There's too long of a body of case law distinguishing into the nitty gritty of who is and who is not a professional service. It's a legal term. I agree with you for the most part. Sometimes it's kind of nebulous to decide who is what. But in this instance, like emergency response, that I'm fairly certain that that's a professional service. It would be exempt under the competitive bidding.
Okay.
And this is also not yours, correct? This is the neighboring municipality? Or
This is the neighboring municipality, and just for the record, Lewisberry Borough did have a contract with Newberry Township, but left them because of the cost.
Right.
And that's verbatim.
Emergency response services as a whole is a very difficult problem to solve, just because of the way Pennsylvania is structured with the law.
Well, they don't do is get a structure, they got a level bid on it. Let Fairview do price on it.
I mean, we
could request a price from Fairview.
Yeah, wouldn't it be smart to let them bid on it?
Well, listen, as mayor, I'm just bringing it to the council's attention. Now, I did contact the president, and I think two other, I don't know if I said, I don't know, but I did contact the president and notify him of the cost. So, but I'm bringing it full circle with the remainder of the council.
Mayor, can I also add that at our meetings up at Newberry, they've been discussing trying to hire more officers because they're claiming that they are understaffed at the current moment. So if they're understaffed for our township, how would you guys expect them to properly serve your borough at the same time?
And that's the other thing we gotta look at. You know, it was mentioned that by the chief that back in 2018, you gotta look at this, you know, the crime, you gotta look at this. Well, you also have to look at demographics. You have to look at, you know, across the whole spectrum, what has changed? Has crime gone down? Have people moved out of town because of that? You know, there's a whole bunch of different factors that play into that. So
that's why I got the ambulance out there.
Well, as I was saying, if we have Fairview ambulance, why wouldn't we look into the police? And we only have 300 more residents than Lewisberry does.
Oh, and real quick, you had mentioned about the EMS service. For the record, and I will put this on the record, the reason why we went with Fairview is because they have 2 paid crews on at the same time. Newberry has 1. And I can tell you from the emergency services side, when their EMS unit's out on a call in Newberry, you're getting Fairview first, and then they're going to DLA next, down here at the New Cumberland. So your best bet is to go with somebody that's going to be reliable. Is it going to take an extra 5-10 minutes? Yes, but that's why you have the fire department also in place for cardiac arrests or emergency medical assist.
Cost was one of the main things that was free.
That too, and it's free.
Fairview Donuts report for free.
UPMC is billed. So.
Yeah, I'm alive today because the services you all provide, whether you whatever it is. I've had 3 major heart attacks. And the gentlemen and ladies on the service have kept me alive. Whether I'm good here about trees or not, what was more important that when we called, we had someone to our house within moments, with a very short period of time. I don't care who it was, but I've never, again, I'm here because they came, they did what was necessary to keep me alive, and I'm here. I died one of those days.
But with PD, that the police department, I just want to make sure that that's out there. I mean, quite honestly, budget wise.
I don't know if this is time we can put this.
No. But budget wise, gotta look down the road too. We'll go from there. So, but I'm sorry. That's all I have on that meeting.
Any other council member comment on that, or?
I just say, I think we look into it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we're talking, it could be a substantial.
So is that something we're gonna charge Charlie with, is to contact Fairview on getting a proposal for?
Well, we're going to come up with what we want them to do. Just like what you're saying. Do you want to buy the minute? Do you want to buy the drive-through? What do you want?
Or lock them in.
It's tough to get a price for something that I don't know what you want.
I'd go and inquire as to what services they can provide us first.
Yeah.
To what extent. Is it going to be the drive-throughs? Is it going to be sitting? Is it going to be, per call?
Or they have the ability to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Can we find out what services Lewisberry has?
Yes. That would be going through Dawn.
Yeah.
And seeing what they have. I don't know if they'll give verbatim the contract that they're offered, they may, but that's up to the township and whether or not they want to provide that. So.
I wanna be real careful talking about contract stuff, but could we take our contract with Newberry and take the required, or what we're asking for, basically for coverage, take that out of that document, totally, and give that to Fairview, that this is the coverage that we're looking for.
Well, as a prerequisite to any of my advice on contracts, I want to read it first.
I would want you to read it.
But in terms of ballparking the level of service that you're wanting, I think that would probably be step one to see where you're.
That gives them a scope of work to price.
Right. I'll go with that.
Alright, so, do we wanna make a motion to
So,
Charlie?
Or do we just wanna have the solicitor pull that out of our contract?
Yeah, you don't really have an action item here on your agenda, we can just move forward.
Right.
Okay. You guys will work on it.
Yeah.
So next we have, treasurer's report, council should have a copy. Any discussion or public comment on the treasurer's report? Not, I need a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Presentation of the bills.
Make a motion to pay the bills.
Second.
All right. All those in favor? Opposed? Next council meeting, I believe, is scheduled for December 9th, 2024 at 6:30.
I need a motion to adjourn.
We don't need any questions, right?
I make the motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Again.
All in favor, or you?
Thank you for your follow-up question. I don't think I was explaining that properly. I know it's a very good